Hi, everyone. It's Tracy, and welcome back. So, this is going to be the first page that I created in my May kit that I created. And if you haven't seen the video of what I put in that kit, just scroll back and you'll be able to see everything. And this is things that I had pulled from my stash. Now, this cut file was a free cut file I got from the Paige Evans Facebook page. Happy Scrappy Place, and everyone can get this free cut file. I have a scan and cut, and I can't use anything like that studio, it can't be like a silhouette based cut file. So I haven't really tried to look at the silhouette store, but Paige also has a Etsy store, and I recently purchased some items from her store as well. But if you want some free cut files, just join the Facebook group and you will. Every week she's been putting new ones out there, and they look like they're things that are already in her shop on the Etsy store, which is fine. Thank you. Yeah, she's one of my favorite artists. I love her collections as well as her cut file. She's very talented. All right, so what I have shown already is how I had backed the cut file with some scraps from my kit, and now I'm using the Vicky Bouton crayons, and I am not a big fan of the what do they call it? Smooshing technique. I just don't like it, but I do like this. So to me, this is more like watercoloring. So I'm just kind of blobbing on some color, with some water. And the colors, I have just two sets of the art crayons. I have the blues and greens, and then the pinks and the yellows. And I use a little bit of all of that on this page here. And if you get it watered down enough, it makes really good splatters as well, as you can see. Now, I wasn't sure if I was gonna and I wanted to mention too, before I even did this watercolor, I had put down the Art Basic gesso. It's clear gesso, and that's why you can't see it. And this paper, it wasn't cardstock, it was paper, like paper pad paper, and boy, did it warp, and I ended up having to put it, on some white cardstock, or I think actually what I did is I got some another sheet of, paper from the paper pad that I didn't really like, and I just glued them together to give it some bulk there. So I'm gluing down with my ATG gun this cut file, and surprisingly, this gesso takes the ATG very well. The Liquitex gesso is um, is it doesn't take the ATG well at all. So I have to say that this Prima gesso is becoming my favorite by far. I don't have it in the white. I think it does come in white, but I just don't have it. The bad thing about these acetates is that you can see the adhesive, and so I try to cover it up the best that I can, and I wanna be able to see that acetate, so I have to back it with something. And I also put an acetate up in the top right-hand corner. I got that from Freckle Fawn, and I don't back that one because you can see it pretty clear. Oh, and what I was gonna say about the gesso and the watercolor, I know I am just, like, all over the place, sorry, guys, is that the colors are more vibrant when you use the gesso. When you don't use gesso on just regular paper, it gets absorbed into the paper and it becomes more muted. So if you want a true color, you really do need to use gesso. So that's exactly what I wanted, and it kind of puts a barrier, between the paper and the paint. So I don't know, I really like it. And it doesn't take long for it to dry, and I just use my fingers. My camera cut out, while I was putting it on, And I have used, like a credit card to kinda scrape it on. I've used a paintbrush. I have one of what is that? I forget what kind of paintbrush it is. Let me look at it real quick. It is it's an Art Basic, which is the same brand as the Gesso, but it's kinda like, I don't know, it's kinda a rubber Teflon. It's a 2-inch brush. I'd rather just use my fingers. What can I say? So even though as beautiful this cup file is, I still wanted to add quite a bit of things to go around it. This is a photograph of me from, oh gosh, 7 years ago, I guess. And you wouldn't know it, but I was with my daughter and we had gone to the San Diego Zoo. And I lived in California for 10 years and I only went to that zoo once. It was lovely, but it was probably one of the more expensive zoos I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of zoos. So, yeah, but it was really nice. It is a good zoo. I think they're known for the I think it's the pandas. I don't really remember, but I ended up seeing the pandas in DC, so I'm good. I'm good. All right. So I don't mind putting the ATG behind that acrylic piece because you're not gonna see the ATG because I tuck it underneath the cut file, which is yay. And then the Freckle Fawn, those little, uh, pieces, the one that says "A Lovely Day," it's chipboard, and pretty much need to use wet glue for that because it will come off. And what I'm gluing right now, these are I think they were punches that I had got from Christina Source from my Secret Not Secret kit. She had thrown them in my very first kit, and which was back in December, and, so I'm just now using them. So it's always great to use up stash, and in fact, I've had those on my desk since December in my little bowl that I use to keep everything in. I thought, "Oh, I have got to get these used up." Okay, so, um, I know that I've just been rambling and rambling, but there's just a lot going on. That shine is something that I had painted in my last kit that I put aside to dry and then forgot about it and was determined to use it this time around, so I'm putting it on the very first layout. So I titled this Smile and Shine, which is kind of a goofy title, but it went with what I had, you know? Sometimes you come up with some titles that are like, whatever. So this is one of those titles, and it's fun putting this all together. This did take me quite a bit of time, especially putting the cardstock and the papers behind the cut file, but to me, it is so well worth it. Now these 2 tags, I had cut them out of some scrap paper and I had them in my stash, and you don't need to worry, I don't need to add any, twine or anything to because I'm gonna cover up the holes and you're not even gonna see that. So it's just more for as a background, to cover it up, and when I put on top of it, it says, "This is the good life." This is also a chipboard. I don't remember where I got that. I wanna say it was a basic gray from long ago. And then this one is also from Freckle Fawn. It says, "Every moment counts." And then I have a couple of, brads I put in. The one I'm putting in now, it's white with black dots. And what I like to do is put some washi tape to cover up those prongs because I don't want it getting hung up on anything in the future. So I put a couple pieces of this. This is I can't believe how much I love this washi tape. And then this brad I put over here is kind of the pinky red color. And, it gives a little dimension. The color doesn't stand out so much, but that's okay. It just adds a little something. Um, I don't know. I like the way it's looking. Now, this is something that I had learned from Vicky Booten, is that if there was a way to add some foam tape behind the parts of your page. It doesn't matter, parts of the photo, just one corner of your photo to add some dimension. You just go ahead and do it. So I'm looking around, seeing what's not glued down, and I am adding a little bit of foam tape, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. And just right here in the bottom corner of my photo, yeah, I really like that it's kinda wavy. So it definitely adds dimension. So the next thing I do would add the splatters. The one that I use the most for, the black is Night Moves. It's by Shimmers. And then, of course, I always add, well, I say always. I say 90% of the time I add sequins, and I get my sequins from Spiegel Mom Scraps, and I don't ever make you watch me glue those down. So I'll just go ahead and place those down. There will be some still shots at the end. I want to say thanks for watching today in the series, and be sure and check out Becky Bidding's page as well. She's also doing the series. In fact, this was her idea. So I certainly want to give her a plug. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.